text messages. Why do I always get a text message? Right. Right. Haha. I don't know why I'm really light. There's no other way to change the lighting, so that's what I just have to do. Yeah. In response to your geeky video, I'm making one of my own. I don't really read an awful lot because I find I get bored really quickly with reading a book. It's not the story that I get bored with, or that stuff. The physical act of getting a book, for hours or whatever, and flicking through the pages. I just find it really boring quite a lot of the time. And I get wrist ache and hand ache, and it's just bad. It's all bad. So I don't read an awful lot, and I should do, but I much prefer audiobooks, or listening to them, or watching a documentary or a film that's educational. So I've sorted out a few things to show you. They're not very exciting, but that's my phone again. But it's just a little insight into me. Not nearly as cool as you, sorry. But yeah, I have a pile of films. Technically 2 books, but it's by the same person, and some of my work. And I'd like to talk you through it, and some other things as well. Right, and look, I am James May. Right, the first film I'm going to take you to is, you can't even see it, there you go, Perfume. It's called Perfume, the Story of a Murderer. Don't know if you've seen it. Probably have, because these films are quite, well, 2 of them are quite mainstream, but this one isn't. I have a love for 18th century France and 18th century French films, and it was directed by, who was it directed by? It doesn't say. Directed by. What the hell? Ah, here we go. Tom Tykwer, apparently. But it's got Alan Rickman and Dustin Hoffman in it. And basically it's this guy, he's like orphaned pretty much, and he's just left to fend for himself. But he grows up and he earns money by working in a perfumery with Dustin Hoffman. I can't remember his name in this. And he goes out one night because he thinks there's something more to life than squashing lemon zests and flowers, really. And he sees a woman, and that's the woman on the front, and she's like stunningly beautiful. Perfect red hair, big lips, perfect body. And he follows her around, and he tries to learn her smell, basically. And he ends up following her one night, and I think she's like selling lemons or flowers or something like that. And he sort of attacks her, not on purpose, but he does. And he just wants to talk to her, and she gets creeped out, and he takes it too far, and he's smelling her hair, and he's a bit simple, really. It's a bit like the scene in Of Mice and Men where Lenny kills Curly's wife by, you know, smelling her hair and then strangling her, and then she's dead. So yeah, that's pretty much what happens there. But then he can't work out how he wants to keep her smell forever in a bottle. So he basically stews her, which is, you know, nice. So yeah, that's a good film, but it's quite romantic at the same time. And if I remember rightly, I think the last scene is a French town in like southern France, and they've discovered this perfume that he's made, and basically it's just a giant orgy. There's like thousands of people shagging in the street. So I don't really know what that's about. And this video is 6 minutes long already. How am I going to fit all this in? Right. Next one, Dragonfly. Slightly mainstream, but it's a really good film. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's Kevin Costner and Kathy Bates, and his wife's a doctor, and she goes out to South America to help with some kind of disease thing. I think it's cholera or something like that. And anyway, she ends up in a bus crash and dies. So, but he doesn't really know until a couple of weeks later. But he keeps getting haunted at home, and all these weird things keep happening. And so in the end, he decides to go down to South America where she was, and to hunt for her. But it's really quite scary, but not scary as in, oh my god, I'll never sleep. It's like, I've just shat my knickers scary, like, it just makes you jump. But it's really good, and I would recommend that film to anyone, actually, because that's, yeah, very good film. Oh, now then, this film, you can't see. Stop being light. It's called Snowcake, anyway. Sigourney Weaver, Alan Rickman, and Carrie-Anne Moss. And it's about a guy that somebody runs over his daughter, and then he traces the guy down that did it because it was a drunken hit and run, and kills him. So he gets put inside, and he's inside for a fucking long time. And when he gets out, he goes over to Canada, I think he's in. I think he's in Canada. And Canada, Ontario. And he hunts for his ex-wife, you know, his daughter, his dead daughter's mother. But he meets a girl along the way, and she asks for a ride. So he gives her one, and they end up in another car crash, and she dies, so he feels guilty, so he goes to find her mum, and her mum's got, I think she's got autism, or, hang on, it doesn't say, she's mental, anyway, so, that's you, massive Q. So yeah, that's a really good film, and it's not, I don't think it's one that you can watch over and over and over again, but it's certainly one you need to see as an educational, but it's really touching, and I like it. This one, terribly mainstream, but very, very good. Charlize Theron, who is by far the most beautiful woman in the entire world. I don't even care what anyone else says. I would shag her within an inch of her life. And Christina Ricci, who I would also shag within an inch of her life, but she's not quite as beautiful as Charlize Theron. Although, to be fair, they both look dog rough in this. But yeah, it's called Monster, and it's about Eileen Wuornos, that's the name, and she was like the first sort of female serial killer in America. We don't really know if you know a lot about her, but there's shitloads of programs on her, and I find her fascinating. And I feel really sorry for her as well, because her girlfriend basically used her and got what she wanted out of her, and yeah, she got raped, and you know, it was a sort of a last resort to murder someone, but she had to protect herself, you know. But yeah, really good film. A bit, some in parts a bit tough and a bit slow, but it's worth the 104 minutes of viewing time. And there's also a very sexy kissing scene to Journey's "Don't Stop Believing," which numerous occasions growing up gave me an erection. So that's definitely a watcher. And this is 11 minutes long, so I'm going to have to make 2 because I've got lots to show. I've only got 4 more films left, and then I've got the books and my work, so I'm going to try and get all the films done now in 15 minutes, because you can upload 15 minutes on YouTube now, and then do the work in the books. So, next one. Stephen King's The Stand. It's not a film as such, rather than a 360-minute long TV series, but it's made in the form of a film, so it's really good. But I watched it originally. I'm not really a huge Stephen King fan. I find him quite cheesy and a bit. He seems like he's run out of ideas, but there's just something about this, and I don't know if it's the, you know, post-apocalyptic setting or the story between sort of good and evil and choices and outweighing. It's quite, in parts, religious. There's a lot of sort of gospel and sort of Christian influence, but other than that, I mean, the storyline behind it's really good and really strong, and I think the cast, you'll like this one, Molly Ringwald, she's in it, but I don't like her in it because she's just a twat, basically. But I didn't like her originally because she ended up with Gary Sinise, and he's a hot piece of ass, and I was very jealous. But yeah, the originally why I watched it in the first place was for Gary Sinise, because it's one of the first sort of things he did, and he's really good in it. And I just enjoy watching it. I haven't watched it in ages actually, and I do miss watching it. And it's nice to see as well, like the scenery of America. That sounds really sad, but it's good for escapism as well. And I'm gonna really run out of time now. The Libertine. I was talking to you about this the other day, and I know you're not really a huge Johnny Depp fan, but it's got Samantha Morton and John Malkovich in it, and I think it's a really good film. It's not royal as such. In every generation there comes along a person so scandalous, so rebellious, so willing to break the taboos, that they are toppled. They topple the world's idea and what's being a free spirit truly means. In the 17th century, that person was John Wilmot, aka the second Earl of Rochester, and he shags everything that moves and gets into a lot of trouble, and then ends up running for government, which is really good and quite tough, but also it's really arty-farty as well. I don't know, it's nice to see the scenery. Atonement. You can't see it. Atonement, really fucking good film. I don't like Keira Knightley as an actress. I think she's crap, and she's far too thin. She needs a good dinner downer. But it is a very, very, very good film, and I watch it quite often, and I cry every time. And the last one is Dead Man, which I'm going to run out of time on. But purely, alright, yeah, fair enough, it's Johnny Depp, but it's based on like Red Indians, and it's got all the musics by what's his fucking name? Neil Young. But it's very good. And bye. Part 2 coming.